things they needed to live from their environment. Fur for clothing, wood for bows and arrows, clay for pots and houses, stone for tools to grind their food. Fur, wood, clay, stone. These are natural resources, things we need to live that we take from our environment. Today, we still need natural resources. Wood and stone for houses, water to drink, air to breathe. But we also need resources the Indians never thought of, like tungsten, petroleum, aluminum, chromium, cobalt, mercury, zinc, tin, silicon, helium. Each day there are more of us, and most of us are using more resources every day. Does that mean we'll run out of natural resources? Perhaps not. People can learn new ways of doing things, and we're learning how to use our resources wisely and carefully. Avoiding waste and replacing used resources is called conservation. Let's see how some important resources are conserved. Hundreds of years ago, the pioneers got food, water, wood for houses and fuel, all from the forest around them. But they cut down the forest to make room for farms. Today, we still have forests, and we still need them. Forests clean our air. They're a home for animals. The forest soil holds rainwater, slowly releasing it to streams and rivers, and people can enjoy themselves in forests. A forest is a multiple-use resource. Forests are also where we get all the wood we need to make things. But how can we cut down trees and still have forests? This man is a forester. His job is to make sure we will always have forests. He's studied trees and how they grow. He marks trees that are adult and have stopped growing quickly. Loggers harvest the full-grown trees the forester has marked. Only a part of the forest is harvested at one time. Trees surrounding the cut area drop seeds so that new trees will sprout. Sometimes the foresters plant new trees themselves. Since the foresters make sure healthy young trees are growing to replace the old ones that were cut, this forest is a renewable resource. It will last as long as foresters are allowed to conserve it. Preventing waste is another way we can conserve the forest. Fire crews hurry to put it out so that as few trees as possible are wasted. When they cut up the harvested trees, lumbermen also try to prevent waste. Even the bark is used as a mulch for gardening. Sawdust used to be burnt as trash. People in the lumber industry invented a way of gluing the sawdust together to make a product called particle board. For some uses, particle board is even better than wood because it's more uniform and never warps. Using all of a resource is called full utilization. Practicing full utilization means fewer trees are needed to meet people's needs. Foresters and lumber people can do a lot to conserve the forest, but so can you. you can avoid wasting forest products. Recycling is another way you can help conserve our forests. Most kinds of paper are made from wood. Recycling 100 pounds of paper saves growing one whole tree. So people can conserve the forest by avoiding waste and by renewing it, replacing trees that are cut. If we do this, we will always have forests. Water is another important natural resource. Sometimes there's too little of it. Rivers dry up. And sometimes there's too much. One way to prevent floods and water shortages is to store water in lakes called reservoirs. Reservoirs are often made by building a dam across a river. The stored water has many uses, like recreation. The water is also used to generate electricity. It enters these towers and falls through huge pipes to the bottom of the dam. There, the force of the rushing water turns generators to make electricity. There are many generators inside the dam. Wires carry the electricity from the dam to cities far away. Just enough water is released from the dam to keep the river from flooding or running dry. Some of the river water is pumped up mountainsides and carried long distances in man-made canals. Without irrigation water, these oranges couldn't grow here. Some of the water goes to people in cities. Since we often have to do so much work getting water to the place where we want to use it, it's important that users conserve water. This water is being wasted. Industries and businesses try to conserve water too. This car wash installed a system to recycle its rinse water. Now it uses only half as much water as it did before. Soil may be our most important natural resource. We depend on it to grow our food. But growing crops takes some of the fertility out of the soil. To renew its fertility, farmers plant special crops or add fertilizer. Here, the fertilizer is being put into the irrigation water. The fertility of the soil is renewable, but the soil itself is not a renewable resource. The wind can blow it away. Water can wash it away. Soil cannot be replaced, so good farming methods are needed to conserve soil. This farmer is contour plowing his land. Because the furrows run around the hill instead of up and down, water can't rush down the hillside, carrying away the soil. Forests, water, and the fertility of soil are examples of renewable resources. An important non-renewable natural resource is fossil fuel, oil, coal, and natural gas. There is only so much oil in the earth, and once we've used it all, there won't be any more. How can we conserve our dwindling supply of fossil fuels? lives by inventing more efficient ways of taking out the fuel. In pick and shovel days, up to half the coal had to be left in the mine to keep the roof from collapsing. Now we've invented new ways of mining coal. As coal is removed, these supports move forward to hold up the roof. It works like this. Behind the supports, the roof is allowed to collapse. Using this system allows as much as 90% of the coal to be removed. You are conserving fossil fuels when you walk or bicycle to school instead of being driven. Or when you turn off an unneeded light. Another way we can conserve a non-renewable resource like fossil fuel is by finding substitutes. This laundromat installed solar water heaters and substituted sunlight for some of the natural gas they used to need. The metal copper is a non-renewable resource. One use for it is in telephone wires. Engineers invented a new kind of telephone system that uses glass fibers like this instead of wire. The glass is made of common materials like sand, so many thousands of pounds of copper will be saved each year. Copper is often used for water pipes because it doesn't rust. But plastic pipes don't rust either, and the resources needed to make the plastic are more abundant than copper. Plastics are a good example of substitution, yet even they are made from natural resources that must be conserved. To make one large drain pipe like this requires 20 or more pounds of plastic. Today, we recycle resources like aluminum. Someday, we'll recycle plastics also. Air is a resource every living thing depends on. We need it to run our engines, but we also need it to breathe. Sometimes in using a resource, we pollute it and make it unfit for other uses. The air in this city is not as valuable a resource as it once was. Wastes people added to this valuable water supply have made it unfit for many other uses. When we avoid polluting a natural resource, we are conserving it. We need natural resources from our environment. The fight to conserve these resources is a constant one. Conservation is the work of people who take the resources from our environment and of people who process them to make the things we use. But most important, conserving natural resources is the job of the people who use them. And one of those people is you.